Hi, I'm Jeff Meads from Tennessee Twin, and welcome to the final part in this series of my tips for better Facebook Live broadcasts. Yes, if you watch none of the other shows in this series, then this is the one to watch because I'm going to give you my top 10 tips for better Facebook Live broadcasts. Thank you very much for watching, and all the subscribers, please do subscribe if you'd like to see further tips on sound and video, which will be coming in future. In the meantime, let's get this done. Here's tip number 1. Yes, find yourself a good room. There's a number of different aspects that make up a good room. The first, of course, is the sound of the room. So if there's lots of absorbing materials in there like beds and sofas and heavy curtains, then that's really going to help dampen down your sound and make it much clearer as it goes through onto your broadcast. The other thing is, of course, think about the light in the room. Make sure that there's nothing behind you that's a strong light, or something shining into your eyes, which is going to be equally distracting. The final thing is, go somewhere that you won't be disturbed by other people, and switch all those things like white goods, washing machines and things off in the background to make sure that your audience will hear you really clearly. So, on to tip 2. Having said we don't want any bright lights in front of us and or behind us, we do need plenty of light. Natural light that's coming through the window and onto your face is always going to be best, but if you don't have that, then some form of artificial light will be needed. Cameras and things, particularly on smartphones, do work pretty well in low light level these days, but they tend to get noisy. You'll see that by little speckles and artifacts in the picture, particularly in the dark areas, and we don't want that. The more light we've got in the room, the better the picture quality is going to be, and I'm sure your audience would like you to see you in all crystal clear detail. So moving on, how about tip 3? If you can, use an external microphone. Now, sometimes this is just not possible. If you have a smartphone, it has a microphone in and it will work. However, remember that microphone is not designed for your music, which has a much bigger frequency range and dynamic range. That's the difference between small sounds to loud sounds. Your music has much bigger dynamic range and much bigger frequency range than your voice when you're speaking on the phone, which is what the microphone is designed for. If you can use an external microphone, either one that clips into your phone or one that is via an attached audio interface, that is going to give you a much better sound quality. In the sound industry, we have a saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you start with a terrible signal going in, then it's never going to be better, no matter how much equipment you put in the way. So we start off with the best sound we possibly can by using a really good microphone, good interface, and then everything else we can deal with later. So let's think about tip 4. Yes, turn off all your other devices. That means your phone, it means your iPad, it means your laptop. The only thing that should really be active in your room is the one you're using to broadcast. That way there can't be any weird bings and bongs and strange things going off, not only in terms of sound that might get into the broadcast and be odd to the listener, to the audience, but also things that might actually distract you. You know how concentrated we have to be give a good musical performance, and anything that's just flashing away over in the corner there saying you've got a text or some other type of message, that is going to be distracting no matter how hard you try. So turn everything off apart from the thing that you're using. And the device that you're using, go through and turn off all your other apps. Make sure that the device is as clean as it can possibly be, with give you the most bandwidth and also the least distractions. Of course, it also means that you're unlikely to see pop-ups and other things in the screen. So how about tip 5? So tip 5 is all about Wi-Fi. If you're using a phone or an iPad, or maybe even if you're using a laptop, you're probably going to be fixed with using Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is not the best connection, but it's the one we're stuck with mostly. If you have to use Wi-Fi, get close to your router. The proximity of you and your router will give you a much better signal. So if you can use the room that your router's in, then that's going to be even better, or maybe bring the router to you with an extension cable, then that's really going to help you. If you have the chance, please use an Ethernet cable. This is much easier, of course, if you're using your laptop to broadcast, which gives you lots of other options, including audio interfaces and such. How about tip 6? Go and set up yourself a test Facebook page. Don't invite anybody to it. It's just for you and maybe one friend or family member. This is so that you can test your system, your room, your lighting, your sound, and all of those things prior to doing an actual live broadcast. It's dead easy to do. Set it up like any normal page. Just don't tell anybody it's there apart from who you need to know. The other good thing is, of course, when you've done your first test broadcast on that page, you can go back to that page and watch it back for yourself. You can think about the sound, you can have a think about the lighting, you can of course think about your performance, and that will give you a really good indication of how you've done so far in terms of your sound and your picture. So how about tip 7? Go back to that live broadcast, as we say, and make sure you listen to it and watch it in finite detail. Be self-critical. It's the best way to have confidence that later on when you go for a live broadcast, that you will actually be doing a great job. It will ease those worries when you do go live, and then of course that means you'll probably give a better performance. So moving on, tip 8. Well, tip 8 is test again. When you make changes after doing your first or second test broadcast, then you need to go back and make sure those changes have actually had the right effect. Sometimes when you make a change, things can just sound and look different. It's not always the case that you'll make a change and it will be for the better. So again, be self-critical, go back, test again, and watch back that broadcast as if it's your first one, and make sure that absolutely everything is in crystal clear picture quality and a great sound quality too. Moving on, tip 9. Tip 9 is, well, rehearse. We should all do this, of course, as musicians all of the time. There's two different things here. A very good music teacher taught me years ago. There's a difference between practice and rehearsal. Practice is where you learn something, and rehearsal is where you perfect something. If you're playing with other musicians, this is particularly true. We shouldn't obviously be turning up to a rehearsal in a rehearsal room having not quite learnt the song yet. We should always have that down before we go and join in with other musicians. And of course that's exactly the same if you're doing a Facebook Live broadcast. Be prepared. There are lots of things to think about when you're doing one of these broadcasts, so being able to play the tune and sing the tune to your best is of course something we don't want to have to worry about, and that means plenty of rehearsal. And finally, tip 10. Tip 10, well, have fun with it. Your audience are coming along to see your broadcast to be entertained. They're interested, of course, in listening to your music and sharing your music and listening to what you've got to say. And of course, they want to be uplifted by that typically. As we record this here in shutdown, things are pretty bleak for some people, and they're looking to Facebook Live broadcasts to be something to lift their day. So let's have some fun with it. Let's make it really entertaining, and that will bring your audience back time after time. So thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you for watching these broadcasts. I really do hope they've been really useful. If you have any comments or suggestions for future series, then please do drop them in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel to make sure that you see the future episodes. Meanwhile, everybody, please be safe, enjoy your music, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.